Welcome to the After the Show Movie Podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Ascully and Cidtalk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Cidtalk, you're my strange darling.
I've seen the movie. I'm not sure I'm flattered by that.
Yeah,
but I could say the same thing about you, and you might be like, oh, right.
Oh.
That was not the before the after the before the after the show discussion.
Put
was
your
not
teeth in.
that. Made a beverage. It was this movie, some other stuff, and that's about it. It was uneventful.
Uneventful, but also eventful. All right, it is it Thursday?
Yes.
It's Thursday, October the 3rd, and this is After the Show, your weekly movie review podcast. And on episode 859, we're looking at the movie Strange Darling. It's a 2024 release, out now on streaming, rated R. Its runtime is 1 hour and 37 minutes, and it's from our friends at Miramax. Not that friend.
No, don't go there. We're over it.
Yeah, we were like, Miramax?
We're done.
Miramax is back? All right, so Cidtalk, give us the synopsis of the movie Strange Darling.
This is a tough one. But I mean, it's a serial killer story.
I'll give you the one off the box.
How's it?
Nothing is what it seems when a twisted one-night stand spirals into a serial killer's vicious murder spree.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so let's say right up front here, spoiler warning.
Okay.
Can't discuss this film without going into the spoilers.
True that.
And it's a film, I will say to you, don't listen to what we're saying now. Go and see it before anything. Don't watch the trailer. Don't do anything.
Don't listen to us.
The less you know, the better. And I knew nothing. I hadn't even seen the trailer. What about you?
No, I didn't even know the name of the movie until it started.
Right. So that's
I
the
don't
way.
keep close track of our reviews.
That's the way to go into this movie.
Aye.
So go away. Have you gone now? Yeah, they've all gone now. Why are we even?
Are they leaving? Do we have to just sit here and wait for like 7 days until some people watch it? Okay.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Michael from Shrewsbury. Hold on. He's just rented it. It's going to be a couple of hours. All right, let's go for it. So, spoiler warning off the bat. Strange Darling, what did you think?
I really liked it. It was beautiful looking, interesting story. It was compelling because, plays with you a little bit. And
a little bit.
I'll go back to the first one. It looks really gorgeous and it's really nice to look at. Just looking at the lighting and the sets, and it was like a rich experience. Even though it's about a serial killer and violence and all that, it was beautiful to look at. Apparently,
I was just reading on IMDb, a very low budget movie.
I thought about it when we were watching it. Like, there's not much cast. There's very few people, on the screen at a time, or even overall when you think about it.
Yeah, there's like, what, 10 people max?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot of cast. But again, for a small, low budget type affair, it never felt that way just because it looks amazing.
Exactly. And the quality of the performances, oh my goodness. And we're going to get to that.
It really messes with everything you think is usually not what it is, right? It's that kind of movie.
Well, one thing.
No, I think there was a few things where I was like the movie. There are many movies that have done it, but my example is Pulp Fiction. The movie's told out of sequence.
Right.
Which makes it a bit weird to watch, but enhances the movie a lot, like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Because what you don't know makes scenes different to if you did know.
Absolutely. Yes. The same scene you watch twice almost.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I agree.
And was there anything where you'd already guessed it?
A little bit. Not guessed fully, but I was sort of like, oh, that's a big fat clue. And,
I think they did drop some clues, but it wasn't quite clear exactly what was going on.
And some might say that this little tool or filmmaking storytelling trope of
the trick,
flipping everything on its head, putting it out of order, trying to fool you, this, that, and the other is sort of like, what's the word?
Cheap?
What did she say? Philistine? Are you Philistine?
Yeah.
Sort of cheap, kind of low class or obvious. And that's fine. They can say that. When it's done well, like this, I think it makes it totally different.
unlike Pulp Fiction, which you kind of start to realize along the way, oh, this is not in sequence. It doesn't clearly say this is out of sequence.
Right.
This movie tells you right off the bat.
Immediately, yeah.
It says, this is a movie in 6 chapters. Hello, chapter 3. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Not chapter 1.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this movie, it doesn't try and fool you in that way. But it does fool you in a few different ways where you're like, who's the killer here? What's the problem? Yeah, there's a scene at the beginning, near the beginning, where you see the demon, who's played by Kyle Gallner, and it looks like he's killing somebody. Like, you can just see him, like, struggling, and his face is contorted, and it's clear he's strangling somebody. Because you're an idiot. Because you're human. It puts you in the, oh, this guy. This fucking guy. Like, what's he doing? Who's he strangling? And you don't see who he's strangling at this point. And then when you do see the scene when it in fact is strangling somebody, it's not what you think.
Correct.
And I think that happens like 3 or 4, 5 times maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
Right up to the, well, I actually didn't know where it was going. We're beating around the bush. What is the main crux here?
Let's be honest. You are the one beating around the bush.
Yeah, I am.
The crux is we meet a couple. He seems like the demon because he has a gun and he looks like he's beating up a woman and he's trying to murder her. And as we go along, we find out he's a victim. She's the horrible one. She's the demon.
Right.
I mean, we still call him the demon, but I mean, she's the terrible one.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh.
So, you know, like at the beginning credits, it goes like, Kyle Gallner is the demon. Willa Fitzgerald is the lady. So already in your mind, you're like, oh, he's the demon and she's a lady.
Yeah, he's terrible. We have to hate him. Yeah.
Like I say, it's so simplistic, that idea, but it penetrates you and you're like, then you see him strangling her or strangling somebody and you're like, oh, this guy. You see him, the very opening sequence is a car chase where he is clearly very mad at somebody. He's driving after her.
She's running, she's bloody, she's injured, and you're like, oh.
And he's got a shotgun in his hand, and he's off his head, and you're like, oh my, this guy.
But you're right, it's because we're dumb.
We're pretty dumb when you think about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's all very obvious when you think about it at the end. You're cleverly roped into a little trick.
I like that, though.
And it does feel clever to me. It felt clever because I was like, okay, they outmaneuvered me in that section there. You know, when they met like the hippie people in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know where this is going. And then it was not anything. It was, those people were.
Were you thinking, oh, everybody in this movie is a serial killer?
Yeah, like it's all,
Yeah.
like there is nowhere to hide.
Yes.
Like everybody's going to
I got a
fucking-
little bit of that vibe, so I'm glad because I am hard to trick.
Right.
And I was like, what's going on? And then it wasn't. I was like, oh, good. It's not what I thought.
Yeah, the crux is that she's a serial killer. Nobody else is
She's
else.
bad, and that's the bottom line.
The way it's slowly introduced to you, like you think in your mind that he's the killer, and then you see, oh, it does go to chapter 1. Chapter 1's when they meet, and they're waiting to go into a hotel to have like an encounter, and they sat in the car talking to each other, and then you realize, oh, she's actually into like kinky stuff, like being strangled or being told you're going to kill me, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then when that starts to happen, you're like, oh, this guy is actually just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a guy who's like...
He's a guy who picked up a chick at a bar.
And he got more than he bargained for, because I don't think he was even going into it for like strangling her and stuff.
Oh, no. He's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's a cop. Also,
Yeah.
we find out he's a cop. He's just meeting up with a lady, met at a bar. They're drinking. They're going to have a good time. They're going to a motel. No big deal. She introduces the idea of this violent fantasy. We only see this in bits and pieces. You have to piece it together later. And then it's like, oh, okay. Oh, maybe the whole thing is a violent fantasy.
Yeah, that's what I did think that at one point.
It isn't.
It is not.
But she unravels as like this absolutely empty shell of a person.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty interesting the way
It is.
You don't really know much about her apart from that she's running away from somebody. And then when it does go to chapter 1 and she actually starts to explain some things, you're like, okay. At first I was like, okay, so she's just a chick who wants some kinky stuff with a dude. And she says, doesn't she, it's just recreational.
Yes.
So you're like, okay, that's fair enough if both consenting and they've got a safe word and all that. But then you're like, okay, this woman, it starts to dawn on you, doesn't it? That this woman is not right.
Yeah, she's just
strange dad.
She's a spider and he's the fly.
Yeah. And
and that's it. That's the whole thing. Is she's evil? Yeah. Basically. Not basically. Absolutely.
Yeah, and he's not a demon at all. He's just a dude. I mean, he's a cop. You know, there's the scene that plays out before that where he's walking through the house where she's hiding and he's just shooting his shotgun into where he thinks she's hidden. And then that makes you, watching that part, going, this guy's insane. He's trying to kill. He's just randomly firing his gun at things. But then, you know, he's a cop and she is about...
She's already victimized him and he's trying to catch her. That's it.
It's a very good premise. Well shot, like you said. It's got some cool neon stuff that I really like.
Of course you do.
It's got a whole scene where it's just blue. Her hair's red for a reason, I'm assuming. Is it like she's the demon? Red hair, fiery?
Yeah.
I mean, she wears a wig.
I mean, we do a lot of symbolizing things or whatever you call it. The light in the bathroom is red when she's contemplating what she's going to do. The lighting outside is blue, so you're kind of confused and a little bit dazed, you know, like what's going on. And there's a lot of that. So someone could say it's pretentious and it uses all of the little tricks and tools, and that's fine.
It does, but it's very well put together. It's got some amazing sound that like puts you really like off edge. Like it's... that noise, whatever that is. There's a noise that comes on, and they use it at the beginning of the movie when Kyle Gallner, the demon, appears, and this horrible off-kilter kind of horn. Is it like a horn?
Horn.
Yeah, and it's really loud, and it's very like, oh, and it puts you on edge. But when you think about that after you know what the whole movie's about, that also feels like a cheap trick, if you think about it. It's like, hey, audience, be scared of this because it is the loud noise.
True that.
I think if you look back when you've finished watching it, it all feels like a bit of a trick, like smoke and mirrors, but I feel like it's done really well.
Exactly.
Sometimes when I watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie and it's a bad one, like old.
Well, bad is subjective.
It's a bad one in my eyes. Like old. I feel like I'm being manipulated as I'm watching it. But then at the end of it, I just feel like, oh, that was stupid. This, I don't feel like it was stupid. I feel like it was actually well played. And the ending of it made sense.
Absolutely.
Like it didn't do something odd and stupid at the end. Like, so we could make a sequel or whatever.
No.
It was more, here's an ending to your movie, an actual ending. And it's what you're seeing is not your imagination. It's what's happening.
That was my interpretation.
They weren't trying to trick you at that point.
No.
Once all the cards have gone on the table, what happens then from then on is legit what happens. So let's get on to the cast. Willa Fitzgerald plays the lady. What do you think?
Absolutely can't take my eyes off of her.
And I don't know who she is. I've never seen her before.
I feel like we have seen her in something, but I don't know what. But I mean, she is absolutely this lady. She has embodied whoever this lady is with the broken, sad, angry, desperate, in control, out of control, and the death scene. Oh my word. I mean, I couldn't literally take my eyes off of her. I was just like, oh my God. And
oh yeah, that was very good.
Yeah. I mean, I just found her 100%. I mean, he was awesome as well, but I mean, she just stole the whole thing for me.
Yeah, she definitely sells the broken...
psychosis.
Yeah, just somebody who has nothing inside them apart from killing.
I don't know about that. I think there's something in her. It's broken. And this is...
Because you don't really learn about a past or anything, do you? You don't... Mm-mm. I mean, you just have to...
You kind of get the impression that she hates men. We're going to say that because she lets the farmhouse lady go. Kind of reluctantly, but she does. And then the cop lady, she knew she could manipulate. Well, she assumed she could, and she turned out to be correct. And then she kind of was like, you go, girl. Kind of like, you get out.
Yeah, you're right. She doesn't.
But I don't know. I mean, it could have just been a case of convenience.
No,
you know?
It's too much of a coincidence. Too many of the women weren't just immediately killed.
Just two.
The lady, she gets the jumpsuit off, she lets go, doesn't she?
Oh, true. I forgot about her. You're right. Well, she killed that other one, though. So I don't know if my theory held up.
Oh, yeah, she did kill the other one. Without a hesitation.
Without even...
When she does kill somebody as well, there is no hesitation. She just kills somebody.
But she acknowledges how terrible it is. And
I know that was really fucked up.
It was really awful. We're going to move forward from that. I mean, it's...
Yeah. Kyle Gollner plays the demon. I have seen this guy in other things.
Absolutely.
And I've always found him... He's always the intense, broody type guy.
True.
But I feel like he's good at that. What was it that we know him from? Can you think?
I can't.
He was in Smile.
Okay.
He was in Scream. 2022 Scream.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been in a lot of stuff looking at this, but not stuff that I really know. American Sniper.
Don't remember.
The Walking Dead, Zach. 1 episode.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
you know what that means.
Yeah. Red State, Jared.
Okay. I might have a glimmer of him from that.
Jennifer's Body. He's been in a lot of stuff along the years, but he does often play this broody, sometimes a killer.
What we find out is he's not. So that's the twist on his character and his career.
Yeah, exactly. Because what you think, oh, he's just a broody killer kind of guy. But actually, he's not even a broody. The normal guy the cop guy is not really a broody guy.
No, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. We get from the dialogue and from his hesitation to do some cocaine that he's had some issues in his past, right? So now we understand that he might have something going on because he calls his friend. He doesn't call 911.
No, that's right.
Calls his friend and says, I've got myself into a little bit of trouble. Then you're like, okay. And then his friend comes, and when she says that's cocaine in his pocket, spoiler alert, our guy that we like is dead on the floor. His friend is like, cocaine in his pocket, as if he knew maybe my friend had trouble in the past, but he's not going to have cocaine in his pocket. So you have this whole backstory of this guy. You don't even know it except from those little tiny bits.
Which is the same for her too.
Yeah, the fact that he didn't call it in officially, he just called his friend who's a cop.
Right.
Tells you, maybe this guy is. But
yeah,
he was awesome. Whenever he was on, once I got over being the stupid human who thought he was bad, I was like, oh yeah, this guy.
We've got Barbara Hershey and Ed Begley Jr. as Genevieve and Frederick.
They're so odd. I loved them.
They're hippies who live out in the woods.
And we meet them outside of their house. They have megaphone speakers playing like
Sasquatch
podcast.
Yes.
So we find out they fully believe in Sasquatch, which is fine. And we see them giggling at the table like they're kind of crazy. And that's when I thought, oh, is everybody in this movie?
They make this really fucked up breakfast.
Really fucked up breakfast. But is it? It just looks amazing. He makes pancakes and
sausage,
eggs, bacon, and the butter is insane. I bet he uses a whole...
He used a whole stick in the pan and then he actually put it on top of it as well.
And then half a can of blueberry topping and then like half a bottle of maple syrup, and then they're giggling at each other, looking at each other, eating it, and then they do a Scott Baio jigsaw puzzle. So you're kind of like, okay.
Yeah, what the fuck is these? What are they doing?
He said, we're not into Scott Baio. We get that from they give them away free at the Goodwill.
Yeah, that was right.
Yeah, our Salvation
Army. And he
Army.
also wanted to make it very clear to her that she said they were hippies. He's not a hippie. He was a biker.
Right. Yeah. He just wanted to make sure she knew. So I love them, but then I thought, are they going to be quirky bad? Like we've got people buried in our basement?
I thought they were murdering people, those two.
But they weren't. They were just people.
They were just people.
And they were fascinating, and I was glad to meet them.
So actually, this movie these people are just people. Everybody else is just a person doing their thing.
Everyone's normal except for her, and she's awful.
And she is really like one of the worst villains you've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Because she's totally insane. So yeah, that's the main cast. There are some other people, but there's very little people in this movie. There's also not tons of dialogue, really. There's a lot of no dialogue going on.
True.
I mean, there's a whole section where they're talking in the hotel room, but most of the rest of it is like, I wouldn't call it action as such, but I'd call it suspense.
Yeah, because once you realize you're supposed to be confused, then you get confused and you're like, what the hell is going on?
Right. And it unravels just right, I think. There's nothing confusing about it. Once it...
Correct.
Yeah, it's trajectory. You're not like, oh, hold on, what happened in chapter 3? It's pretty straightforward, the story.
Yeah.
So we got directed by J.T. Molnar. He directed a movie called Outlaws and Angels, which I did not see. This is only his second movie. And Giovanni Ribisi, who you will know from many different movies, he's the cinematographer on this movie, and it's his first cinematography job. So clearly he made a good job of it, didn't he?
Absolutely.
This movie also starts with on the screen text that says, this film was shot in 35mm film. Like, they made a point of telling you that.
They did, but they also said it was based on a true story, so I don't know what anything's true, because it's not based on a true story, just so you know. I find that to be the cheapest trick of the whole movie. That's it. That's the only thing I find low class.
It's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, where it scrolls the text and there's a very specific voice talking. It's very kind of eerie sounding, but it's a reporter or something. It felt to me like they were trying to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre opening.
Yeah, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't assert that it was based on a real guy.
Yeah, it was, but when you look into that, it's nothing like...
No, true.
No. So they were just trying to, up front, make you feel really wigged out by this movie.
True.
But yeah, you're right. That is kind of a cheap trick, but, also the rest of it is too, when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's a movie that's designed to trick the viewer until the very end.
I don't want to think of it that way, though, because I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a problem if it's done well. IMDB reviews, what are those?
Those are reviews that you read that are very low on the scale, like 1 out of 5.
Or 10.
Is it 10?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I thought it was 5 on IMDb.
10
okay,
on IMDb.
I'll go with 10. 1 out of 10. Oh, 1 out of 10 is worse than 1 out of 5.
Yep.
You like to make fun of them a little bit because when you like the movie, it's always fascinating to see what other people don't like about the movie.
All right, the first guy says, so bad that it was not boring. He says, a silly, pointless, Tarantino-esque splatter flick with an admirable cast. The movie follows the murder spree of a serial killer inspired by true events, but it's not even remotely trying to depict a realistic killer. I really don't get the good reviews on this one.
Okay. Well, I mean, I understand why you feel like that part is lame because I agree with you, but whatever.
And second guy says, don't be fooled by the good reviews and ratings. This movie is a loud, awful dud. I walked out after 20 minutes of nonsense. It tries to be a 70s throwback, but fails miserably at it. You would do better to just rent anything from the 70s. Save your money. And you know what? There are only 3 1-star reviews for this movie.
I didn't feel like it was trying to be the 70s at all.
Apart from that crawl at the beginning that was saying it was a true story.
I didn't even think that. So that missed my boat completely. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, because it was clearly not in the 70s. People have smartphones and yeah.
I mean, I know they're probably talking about the vibe.
The vibe, yeah. Like the gritty look of it.
Maybe they haven't seen real 70s movies because that weren't it.
So there are only 3 bad reviews for this. So I'll give you the last one. This one says, Strang Dali, a 2023 release, fails to deliver on its promise. The plot is underwhelming and it lacks depth and intrigue. The story is predictable and lacks the twists and turns that would elevate it. That sounds like AI wrote that one.
It does.
It's so vague and just...
It knows it's got twists and turns. Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And da-da-ba-da-da.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. Who posted it? The username of the man who posted it is FQ Assis.
Right on.
Probably AI. Yeah, so that's they're the IMDb review. I wouldn't agree.
Nah.
I don't agree.
Nah.
All right, let's give this movie a score. I am giving Strange Darling an 8 out of 10.
Wow, nice. Wow.
I thought it was very, very good. I would watch it again. I don't know if it would work the second time, but hey.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch it again. I don't think. I'm going to give it I really liked it. I'm going to go with 7.7.
All right. Thank you, Cidtalk, for your excellent score. Next week, we will watch the movie The Watchers. You know it?
It sounds familiar.
It is by, I think it might be one of the daughters of M. Night Shyamalan. It's a Shyamalan.
Okay.
But not M. Night. One of his offspring.
Okay.
All right, movie recommendations. I'm going to give you 2 movies that this is so obvious. Like, this movie is kind of obvious after you've watched it. Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
The best out-of-sequence movie ever.
Is it not Memento?
No, not Memento. It's definitely not Memento.
Reversible?
No. It's definitely Pulp Fiction.
Okay. Just double checking.
And the best neon lit movie ever, Drive, with Ryan Gosling.
You do love your neon. I got to get that painting done. I have a painting started.
Yes.
This is off topic. In our living room. It's been hanging there now for 2 years because I started it not last Christmas, but the Christmas before.
It's just black.
It's a black canvas, so I didn't even make the effort to paint it black. It has a hand-drawn city street with signs and everything on it, drawn in white chalk pencil, so that when it comes time to paint it, because if people don't know, I also do artworky stuff. But it's just been hanging there because I'm intimidated.
One day I just expect to walk in there and it's all neon and cool.
That would be fantastic. Could we just make that happen? I don't know why it intimidates me, but I will get it done. My recommendations are going back to the 20th century, as we like to say here on the show, for this year. And I don't know, what is this theme to you? Okay, here they are. These are just movies I've seen. By the way, I'm not telling you to watch them for quality. I'm just telling you to watch them so you can be just like me. We have Mother, which is just Mother. So that's the, what's his name?
Arthur C. Clarke?
No. And not Mel Brooks. Albert Brooks.
Yes.
Princess Leia's mother.
Uh-huh.
She's the mother. And that's just a comedy about him having his mother and he's getting older, right? Then there's Mother ! And we both know it.
Jennifer Lawrence
and Javier
Bardem.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of those that's just like this, where you say to people, just watch it.
Yeah.
And then if you hate it or it freaks you out or you're confused, that's fine, because that's the point.
It'll give you severe anxiety, that movie.
It has anxiety. Yeah. It is confusing. And in the end, you'll be exhausted. But yes. I really like that experience. Then we have The Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
Which doesn't seem to fit, because the next one is Theater of Blood. And that one, I think, is from the 60s or 70s.
That's like a Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing Hammer movie.
Not Peter Cushing. It's a
Hammer thing.
The other one. The Thriller. That guy.
Oh.
Vincent Price.
And
then we have Summer of Sam, which is just a dramatization of that guy who killed a bunch of people, sadly. So there's a serial killer movie reference for you.
Was Summer of Sam Spike Lee movie?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Those are my recommendations for you to go and experience life as similar to me. That's it.
Very nice. Ascully stuff. I've been playing one game this week that I got sent for review. It's called Stardiver. Did you?
Stardiver. That's what I
That's the, when you load it up, that's the tune at the beginning.
You wish.
Yeah. You didn't see any of this.
I did not.
I'll tell you what it's about.
All right.
I'll give you the synopsis because it's an easier way to explain it. Descend into the depths of an underwater world filled with wonder, mysteries, and peril. Fight to survive amongst unknown dangerous species. Discover the story behind the abandoned base and explore the submerged world and learn its history. Okay. So you're in like a submarine type vehicle, hence the Stardiver.
Okay.
You're not in space, I don't believe. You're under the water. If I had a problem in this game, the problem would be there's a very small tutorial at the beginning, and then it leaves you to your own devices. And when I got left to my own devices, I was a bit confused about what I was supposed to be doing.
Okay.
And I think that's on purpose because it's the kind of game where you're supposed to just explore the world and see what's going on, uncover the mystery. And your ship can shoot at enemies. It's 3D. It's not like you're not like an old arcade game. You're inside like a cockpit of a submarine, and you've got little laser bolts that come out the front. It's not all about shooting people. There are no people. It's monsters and crazy fish underneath the water.
But crazy fish, right on.
It does say here in the the blurb that you're investigating this planet. So yeah, you probably are in space. I doubt it's Earth. You're just submerged under the water. There are alien-y looking type things, but they could be under our water too, right? We've not been.
Well, now you've read the actual blurb.
Yeah.
You know the truth.
So basically, it's like you're in this ship, you go under the water, and this mystery unfolds. You find this underwater base, but it leaves you to your own devices. It's not got like a, linear story. You're not following a path. You're just exploring this giant area. and maybe you'll find something weird. Well, I wouldn't say maybe. You're definitely going to find something weird, because I found something weird very quickly. So it's called Stardiver. It's on Steam. You can buy it now. It's $14.99. Cidtalk, what's for dinner?
You are making us some HelloFresh, because we do get, is it HelloFresh?
Yes.
Okay. HelloFresh, we do get meal boxes. So
I already made
whatever someone's
some
opinion
soup.
of that, we get the meal boxes and we love them. And you made, is it like black bean Mexican flavored soup? Is that what we're saying? And sort of a taco
It's
flavored?
exactly that, yeah.
Okay. Which is absolutely delicious and wonderful. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
And yeah, you did make it. You always make it early so that it sits and sort of like marinates all day, which is great.
That is the trick to making good soup. Make it in the morning, then eat it at dinner time, and all the spices will taste really good at that point. So, Cidtalk, what's your advice, and let's get out of it.
Well, my advice is going to come. I said I'll try to not be too deep and whatever this week, but fuck it, if I am, you just have to deal with it. And sorry if it makes you sad, but in my family, we're dealing with an illness, my mother, and we're getting to that point. And I'm not going to say anything else. People who know, and that's it. But there is, and we've all experienced death and illness and sadness, and we're not there yet. It's just that she's unwell, and that's where we're going. And it is very, very easy to tip the balance of your life toward that all-encompassing, all-engrossing, completely suck of a black hole of functioning, being as productive as you can, getting into the health and the caring and getting out of your own routine, out of your own life. And normalcy seems like such a joke, and it's so stupid to care about doing a podcast on a day. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden everything else is unimportant. And if you think about it, a lot of things really are. But in that moment, everything falls away and the balance of your life gets very tipped.
Yeah.
Now, I can't account for all things that can tip the balance, because there are natural disasters, there's other illnesses, there's crime, there are horrible things, there's war, there is suicide, there are loss of children, parents of all kinds all over, every combination. So I can't say that this applies to everything, but I think it applies to a lot. That try to be mindful when you're in the middle of sadness. Let the sadness do its thing. Like if you got to cry, cry. If you can in that moment, unless you have to function because it's an emergency. And then guess what, sunshine? You're going to have to suck it up right that minute. Later, you can like dump it all out. But if you can during the course of the days, do the thing, face the sadness, face the negative, do the productive things that need to get done, be involved. And then also walk over to the corner and like I've been doing, have a little sip of Grand Marnier. And then eat a bowl of raw blueberries, because you got to balance that shit out. Have a ding dong. And then also I bought a raw package of broccoli one day because I was at my mother's, and it was kind of like the whole encompassing thing was care time, And I thought, I'm going to the store, I'm going to get things that are healthy, and I'm just going to eat it because I need to, even in the midst of everything else. And so I just had on the little coffee table, I had this package of raw broccoli, lettuce just in the bag, and some tomatoes, and a package of raw peppers that at the store they had sliced up ahead of time. So I just ripped that open, and I literally just ate out of that all day. Whenever I was like overwhelmed, or I was like, oh my God, that instead of always going for a ding dong, which was my first instinct, then I would just be like, rip off some broccoli, eat a piece of pepper, eat a couple of little cherry tomatoes, right? And just sort of eat some slices of romaine lettuce, just kept ripping the leaves off and eating it. And no, I didn't wash everything before I ate it. So if that's something that bothers you, there you go. You can imagine this grubby table of vegetables that I'm eating off of. But it actually is important to find that, get your body, keep your nutrients going. Hydration is a problem for me because I hate drinking water, and Grand Marnier is not hydration. Try to find the balance, whatever the thing is. Even if it's like you think it's unimportant and work is stressful and you're sitting at your desk, well, take a package of broccoli to work, or whatever healthy thing that you enjoy, a smoothie with all the goodness in it, whatever it is. Let the stress do its thing, react the way you've got to react, and also put things into your body and take moments of your life to balance it out. It's going to seem impossible, trust me, but it is not. There is only there's a tiny little thing that you can do. Just try to do it. I don't think that's what I wrote. I wrote, balance the shit with the sunshine. It's almost impossible, but Only almost. There's always a counterbalance to the pile of shit, no matter how big it is. So there you go.
All right, well said.
Thank you. And doing this podcast is good. It is that thing of, pleasure and joy and satisfaction, and that's good.
A podcast is kind of therapeutic, somebody was saying on Reddit.
To make one or listen to one?
To make one.
Kind of. It's a process.
Because you can just have a chat.
True.
With, for instance, somebody said on Reddit, I was reading, they make a podcast with their wife, and it's like the best conversation they have.
I don't disagree with that, because you're focused on the topic. What if you've got a topic, like we're talking about the movie, and it takes you to that place where it's just a fun, it's not escaping. I'm not an escape artist, everybody. I'm not the type of person who needs to run from my emotions. I mean, I'm a confronter, right? But it is like it is a breath of fresh air. And if for me and you, it's a podcast, somebody else might be like, I just need to go watch Wizard of Oz.
We get to watch a movie and do a podcast.
Correct. And have a conversation.
Yeah.
And I do artwork and stuff, so I will be taking my art supplies with me to my brother's, where my mother is now. And over in the corner or in a room somewhere, I will have my drawing pads and pens. And then in the moments of I need that, I will get a cup of tea and draw something, Yeah. It's not impossible. It just feels like it.
Correct, Cidtalk.
Thanks.
So, ascully.com, that's the place you can go to get this podcast. You can go to Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. There are social media. I'm Ascully, she's Cidtalk. You can also go to Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, and YouTube to listen to the podcast. Email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Cidtalk. She doesn't want your email. She's busy.
I'm busy, but you can do it if you want. I can't stop you.
And stay classy, Strange Darling, because that was a cool movie.
It was. And I'm going to say, think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, someone's doing it.
I didn't hear that last part.
Someone's doing it for you.
Audio.